Anthony Adebayo. We off the record.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes.
You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo, and the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B.
All right, everybody, welcome to Off the Record, 300th episode.
Yeah.
Woo! Come on now. That's a 300th episode. That episode 1 was special 300. But before I introduce these cool gentlemen right here, I just want to give a huge shout out to Supreme Cuts in Fredericksburg. Okay? These guys are gracious enough to host our spot here today, and I'm just super excited to be here. Now, I'm going to turn it over to one of these wonderful gentlemen here, and we're just going to get started here. So, let's do it. Anthony Adebayo, Scott Smith, let's go. Off the Record 300, y'all. Let's do this.
Appreciate you, Charles.
Right.
Definitely appreciate you. But yeah, we got to shout out Twan, because he's doing all the cameras.
Shout out to Twan, cameraman.
Yo, we got to shout out Eli that is like cutting hair. You know,
Shout out to Eli.
Holding it down. And Freshest Barbers in the Bird. All right, so let's get into it, man.
All right, so I think I guess people want to know like how we got like here. How did we get to 300?
Do you want to start? Do you want to start in the beginning or the beginning?
Starting in the beginning.
All right, so Off the Record started like 11 years ago, right? 10 years, I'm sorry, in Richmond, and I was like, let's do a show. I'm gonna do a show. I was gonna do it by myself. Now I'll tell you, and I think Scott might remember this, maybe he doesn't. I was like, well, I got there, and I can't even remember my name. I couldn't even remember. It was bad. So, shout out to Coach Moody. He was in the studio with me.
Okay.
And but before that, Scott was like, yo, let me just do a Fantasy 5. You hear it on the intro. Scott's Fantasy 5 that he hasn't done in about. But whatever. And we'll get to the reason why he doesn't.
Okay.
So it's really selfish. But anyway, he said, let me do a Fantasy 5. So I was like, all right, cool. So we get to the segment. Of Fantasy 5.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be 5 minutes. Fantasy football talk for about 5 minutes. Scott talked about 18 minutes. And I didn't stop him. Because I didn't know what to do. I was like,
I mean, it's good content.
No.
It was terrible.
It was terrible.
It was terrible. It was that
Literally, think of an Excel spreadsheet. Oh, I'm sorry, a PowerPoint spreadsheet with no background. Just all white, white background. That was Scott reading his fantasy file. He literally wrote everything and read it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't in the studio with him, right? I was on the phone, right? So I remember I had 7 pages of fantasy notes, right? I read all of those notes verbatim. That's why it took me
All the
7
7 pages?
7
He read it all, and I didn't stop him at all. I didn't stop him, and we're gonna find that audio.
We're gonna find that audio. It is the worst audio that I've ever done. By far.
Because it was just like this, and I quote. Yeah, this is Scott's Fantasy 5. I'm on here, and I was like,
No, that's giving it credit, right? It was really like, this is the running back position. This is the quarterback position. You have to remember 1 point is for every yard. You have to remember a touchdown is 6 points. It was bad.
So ultimately, it was bad. It was bad. But we actually listened to it and we were discussing it. We got to change this. All right, and then fast forward, we stopped and we came to DC. And we're gonna shout out Reverend VA. They gave us a shot. And then Bliss FM. When we got to DC, that's where we was at.
And I think really that's the turning point in the show because that allowed us to see other shows and see what they were doing and like really perfect like what we had going on. So I think when we were at Reverend VA, we were just trying to like figure it out. Like we didn't know what direction we want to go with the show. But I think like competition is always good for everything, right?
Right, absolutely.
So when you're on a station with 15, 20 other shows and you're seeing like the work that they're putting in, you're seeing how they format it, you're like, okay, how do I take from that show and then make our show a little bit better?
Yeah.
One thing that I took, and one thing that we used to do was very early on, we drink during the show, right?
Uh-oh.
No, we drink. Yeah.
It was no. We would finish a bottle in an hour.
Yeah.
It was.
We drink during the show, and then we got to see other shows, and they used to drink and smoke during the show. And I just remember being in that studio, and it had like a message on there that said, "Would you listen to yourself?" And they had put that message on there because like people start off strong, but 30 minutes in, that liquor starts to hit you, you start slurring. Your audience doesn't know what you're talking about. You get on these tangents, and it just makes like bad radio. So that's one of the biggest things that I pulled from that experience is you have to create something that people want to listen to. Like you can't like just go out there and say anybody can do a podcast and anybody can be consistent with it, but is will people listen or do people find value in what you got right now?
Well, obviously you guys have found the correct blueprint because here we are at episode number 300, and I'm a huge fan of the show, and I tune in every Wednesday. I don't care if I'm on the road or...
So I'm going to hand this over to you real quick, but give us one of your finest moments of Off the Record.
God, there's so many. I gotta say two. One, when we did the Final Fantasy draft, and you had folks coming on, you had Jamal on, shout out to Jamal, Marcus, like, you had those guys coming up on the show and just talking about like the fantasy draft and the stats. Of course, it kind of helped me a little bit, and you know, that, a little bit. I'm not the greatest fantasy player, I will admit that.
We know.
Yeah. But look, I'm getting better. But that's one of my favorite episodes. The other one, even though I was on the losing end of that situation, but I had a great time. It was the Yoke 'em Up Challenge. I don't know if anybody saw the episode. If you haven't, go back and check for it. I lost to this guy here. I know, man. Dallas beat Carolina, go Carolina Pride. I'm still riding with y'all all day. But I lost, and part of the loser of the bet had to put an egg on his head. And I'd say that was a defining moment. I really enjoyed it. I mean, not losing, but
but Charlie was always a good sport. So, now I will say this. We've gone from not knowing what the hell we're doing, and we still learning. At the end of the day, we're still learning. But we've gone to the point where we've covered UFL games, CIAA tournament, whether it's football and basketball, WNBA, the G League, NBA All-Star Week. So it's been so many different things that we've got to experience, doing the show, because that's where we get it from the show. So,
anything in the news, anything sports news related, whether it's baseball, hockey.
Yeah.
And I love the winner of the week.
Yep. and so that was a Scotty creation. I was like, when he first told me about winner of the week, I was like, what? And I was like, I said, let's roll with it, right? And what happened was I forget who the first winner of the week was. It might have been Trump.
I forget. James Winston.
It might. Oh. Yeah, it was James Winston, and he gave James Winston. This is when James Winston was at Florida State. He was still crab legs, and so I was like, and when he did that, it was like, man, people really like that joint. So I was like, well, we gonna roll with it, that was the winner of the week was a good idea, because when you say winner of the week, everybody always goes positive. No, it ain't positive.
No.
Yeah. So that's what it was. But we're here now, and now we get to talk some sports. And I know there's some things that we want to talk about. And I guess the first thing we should probably talk about is Bron. Right? Woo. And so that's a big topic right now. And I think is less of his skill and more of who his daddy is. And I feel like that's part of like kind of like the issue, right? And he got drafted, and he only averaged, because that's what he only averaged 4 points, and the reason why he got drafted is because of his dad. What I say is, who gives a damn? I mean, because I tell you what, Stephen Jones and Jerry Jones Jr. got a job. You know, Mike Malone got a job because of his daddy. Rex Ryan got a job because, I mean, the list goes. It's been happening in sports before we was all born.
I'll take it a step further, right? Just thinking about like all the star players that have like siblings on their teams that aren't as good. Like you look at like Giannis, his brother, I don't even know his name, but his brother has been like
The Macy.
Whatever his name is.
Whatever his name is.
So you look at like situations like that. I mean, you look at like our coaches, right? Where like they hire their son. So you like look at like Don Nelson Jr. You look at like all of the just GMs across like the sport that set their sons up in the scouting development program. You look at the buses. Like who's to say that all of them were qualified to be executives? So it's nepotism all over, like just sports in general. I want to shout out LeBron, right? For at least recognizing that, number one, getting to the point where you can even play with your something, right? So that means like you had to
Pause that.
play basketball. Play basketball with your son, right? So he almost at that what?
He's almost at that point. But, I mean,
He got to grow up, but he's at the end of his career, right?
Right.
So being at the end of his career and being able to command that type of power where it's like, you know what, I'm going to hook my homeboy and do a podcast something, right? So he's going to be my coach. And on top of that, you're going to have to draft my son, or I'm not going to play my coach. And just setting that up. Hey, shout out to LeBron.
That's his story.
Yeah, LeBron definitely, you know, I mean, he worked for it. He deserves it. He's done things that no one else has ever done. Whether you say you could call Michael Jordan the GOAT if you want to, but I tell you what, Ronnie's better than Marcus Jordan.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, the minute LeBron retires, Ronnie is going to the G. He's going.
No.
He might.
So,
That might be the fastest player of all time.
No way. Yeah, no way.
Yeah.
So I'll say this.
They're gonna get him out.
So it's gonna be. So you're wrong. You're wrong. Yeah, that's not. Huh? You're right. So I'll say this. LeBron is what, 39?
Yeah.
Bryce will be eligible in 3 years to get drafted. No, 3 years. Two. 2 years. 2 years. So 2 years to get drafted. And you know, of course, they asked Bryce, and he was like, "Nah, he said, bro, gonna be 42." And I mean, LeBron's gonna be there if he's healthy, which we haven't seen any signs of him slowing down to the point where he can't play anymore, right? He'll be there for Bryce to get. Now, the problem.
You're making a good point, right? So if you look at it, LeBron just opted out of his contract, right? He's gonna get it. So they're looking at paying him a 3-year max, right? So I think, to your point, like this past year he averaged 26 points, which 26 points at this point in his career, I mean, it's unheard of, right? I mean, he's redefining the like expectation of like a superstar or a GOAT. So I think personally he has a good 2 years left in him. I think he's going to have a 3-year contract, and he's going to still play at a high level before we start seeing like Tom Brady. Like when it was over, it happened quickly. With Peyton Manning, when it was done, it happened like instantly. I think it's going to be a gradual process with LeBron.
Here's the question: does he get a chip? In 3 years.
And that's the whole maybe. And it's a no. I think at this point right now, I don't really think a championship matters. If he gets a championship, woo-hoo, good job, LeBron. But I don't think a championship holds as much weight now than it did even 5 years ago. I think that with LeBron, that it's more of he's just adding on to the legacy. Honestly, he may not say it, but it's adding on to things that Jordan didn't do, right? Because he's not going to catch him in championships, right? He knows that. He's probably never going to catch him in shoe sales. No, he's not going to catch him in shoe sales. So let's add on as many things as possible that Jordan doesn't have. And right now, it's like, well, Jordan has 2 sons, but my 2 sons are going to be in the NBA. And the bigger problem is, there's no guarantee that Bryce plays on the same team as LeBron, because Bryce is one of the best players in his class in the country. So yes, Bronny played in the All-American game. There were questions about Bronny playing in the All-American game. There ain't gonna be no questions about Bryce playing in the All-American game.
Right.
Like he's that good, and I think by the time he's gonna be a top 5 pick. Like, no one ever said Bronny's gonna be. No, I won't say that. No one said Bronny was gonna be a top 5 pick.
No, you're right. He shouldn't even got drafted.
So here's my problem with that, right? I think,
This year,
yeah,
maybe 2 years.
because his last name is James, right? That's why you would say that. There's a player who averaged 2.7 points per game that got drafted in the first round and didn't even play. He played in Australia. So if his last name was James, they would say he should have been drafted. But he was a first-round pick.
Okay, so you got a point there, right? So there was somebody that averaged 2 points that got drafted. I still think if Bronny James was anybody else, people would have pushed him back to college. They would say, hey, you need to go back to college and you need to show the fact that was LeBron's son, and LeBron wanted to play with him on the same team as him. It held like a lot of weight. Yeah, I had to clean that up. I saw it.
No, I wasn't going to let it ride. But here's my thing. Bronny was an All-American. He almost died, right? You got to remember that. He had a heart condition. He passed out. I'm not opposed to him staying another year, but he did. And he got drafted. So for people to think that you're going to be the son of LeBron James and you're not going to gain any of the work ethic, which he already shows that he has the work ethic of his dad, he's going to get better. Like, so you agree, because you just said as soon as LeBron retires, he's getting cut, he's going to the G League. But in the same breath, you said he should have stayed in school another year, and he's not trash, but he should have stayed in school another year. You think he's not gonna get the experience playing in the NBA, whether it's the G League, whether he's playing a 2-way contract, he's not gonna get the experience, more of an experience than he would have gotten if he went back to school?
Yes, I agree with everything you're saying. But had it been somebody else, people would have asked him to show the potential.
That's fine, but he's in the NBA now. He got drafted. He's there. But you said that he would get cut as soon as LeBron retires, which is gonna be like so you're saying
if LeBron, let's say, okay, because we all know he's gonna sign with the Lakers, right? Let's say he has a change of heart and says he's going back to Cleveland tomorrow. You think Bronny's gonna stay on the team?
Absolutely. They drafted him.
They're putting him right in the G League, and
there's
he'll
nothing
have
wrong
to
with
earn,
that.
he'll have to earn his keep.
He's gonna have to earn it anyway. So, but what I'm saying is, now he's gonna have better coaching, better facilities, he's gonna have the best of the best. He's with the Lakers organization. Not like you say, yo, the Lakers are the Orlando Magic. It's the Lakers. So they have the best of the best, and all the NBA teams have the best of the best, right? Some way, somehow. He's gonna get all of that coaching, and now he's next to his dad every day for however long. If it's 3 years, if it's 1 year, if it's 2 years, it doesn't matter. He's in that environment.
But nobody is debating that. What I'm debating is if he wasn't LeBron James' son, I don't think he gets his opportunity that he has. And I think that's a fair assessment.
That's not fair. It's not fair. Because here's the thing. Because if you look at his per 48-minute average, he's averaging 4 points a game. He's averaging almost 11 points a game and 5 assists. So the advanced stats show that he can play ball. So hear me out. He was limited with his they had him on a time restriction. It was some games he didn't play because of what happened to him. Now he's fully cleared. So yes, if he went to back to college this year, he's probably going to average between 15 and 20 points, depending on whatever. And all his numbers are going to skyrocket. So why not go to the NBA where, yes, your dad is LeBron, and you get extra benefits because your dad is what it is. So now you use that to your advantage.
Yeah, but nobody is questioning that, right? At the end of the day, he's got an opportunity because of his dad. And as we started the conversation, a lot of people have gotten opportunities because of their family. It's the American way. But let's not sit here and act like they need his father to be LeBron, to be where he's at. And whether or not he improves and whether or not he becomes great, that's all fine and dandy. It'll be left to be seen. But I'm just telling you, I believe he got that opportunity because of his father. And it's okay. Everybody, a lot of other people get opportunities because of their family.
I sense a winner of the week coming up if you go to that G League.
No. Listen, most second round picks go to the G League. And I tell you what though, I remember, I tell you what, Summer League is coming up, right? And I guarantee you that every game that Bronny's gonna play is gonna be sold out.
Absolutely. It'll be okay. I'm just saying, look, and we can agree to disagree. We move on to the next topic. LeBron retires tomorrow. Bronny might be right behind him.
Yo. And see, because everybody in here is laughing because they know you are out of your damn mind saying some crap like that. Hey Phil, come here for a second. Phil, have a seat, Phil.
But if it happens, what if it happens though?
It won't. It won't.
I don't know. Scott.
Hey, can you give me a microphone? I want to hear what you got to say. So this is Phil. This is one of our good friends, Phil. Shout out to Phil. How you doing?
Doing good.
So Phil has some things to say. He's been on the show before. Y'all may not recognize him. There's been times he's been on the show. He had on a goat mask with a lazy eye, a goat with a lazy eye. But I hope you burnt that.
He's still around.
So what do you think? You heard what Scott said. You heard what Scott said about about if LeBron retired today, that Bronny is on the way out the very next day.
My good friend Scott. I know it's your birthday week. But you gotta lay off it when you come in here and do the show. Look, we're Knicks fans. You do realize what the Knicks traded a second round pick for, right? They got a coach. The draft rights to a 36-year-old player who's now a coach. These teams don't value those second round picks. So if they get a free look at Bronny for 3 years and Bronny turns out to be above replacement level, great. If he doesn't, there are guys that first round picks, by the way, hanging as the 9th, 10th man on the bench that never played. We got one. The tall dude from Texas that with the curly hair. I don't even know his name. He sits there past the coaches behind the cheerleaders.
So let me ask you this, right? And this is all jokes aside. You really think that they drafted him based off of his talent or his father?
Absolutely not. I mean, look. Bronny got picked by them because of what LeBron means to the franchise.
Absolutely.
Would Bronny have got selected, or would he have got a camp invite on his own merits? Absolutely. He probably goes higher than 55 or whatever he went if it was not known that if you draft him, and I don't know if the guys are going to get into that if you draft him, he's going to Australia.
Yeah.
Like, what did I tell you the other day? If I was being petty and I was the Knicks, or I was the Clippers, or the Cavs, I was traded to pick 44 and selected him.
So, but here's the thing, and this is what you guys are failing to realize, right? It's not just about money. It's about his agent's relationship, right? So, yeah, teams can be petty and they can pick him, but if you got Rich Paul that represents a lot of players, and let's say you're that team that picks him, and then he says, you know what, I'm not going to negotiate with you, or I'm not going to do that. Teams are looking at that, right? So for him to go to like say, okay, yeah, you're going to Australia, or I'll go to Australia, it's not just about Bron, it's about the relationship with Rich Paul as well.
All right, Nerlens Noel. He took bad advice from an agent before. Rich Paul's built a lot of legitimacy in the league dealing straight. If he pulled that and hurt one of his clients financially, when LeBron's out the league, Rich Paul's out the league right behind.
Yeah, so it's a stretch, right? To say that Rich Paul does that or is willing to go that far, we don't know. It's all what if scenarios, but if you're another team, are you willing to take that gamble, right? Are you willing to piss off Rich Paul, one of the most powerful agents in the sport, on Bron? You're going to likely know. You're just going to stay away from it. And you know what? They want to just drop him with the Lakers. He's not a hell of a talent anyway that's going to make your team that much better. So, hey, you just let him go to the Lakers.
My realistic thing is, I think Bronny's eighth man level in the NBA right now.
Right now? No, I think Bronny's a genie player right now.
I think he can contribute.
No.
We'll see.
So here's the thing. He still needs to develop, right? At the end of the day, he's gonna have to play point guard in the NBA, right? He's not tall, but I think that he's able to play good defense, which he showed in college. And I think that he has a jumper, a three-point shot that is developing. He still needs to develop. At the end of the day, he's still a second-round pick, right? And yeah, you LeBron's son, you're gonna gotta go to the G League. You're gonna play summer league. You're gonna do all these things. Do I think that his ceiling is a eighth man on the bench? Absolutely not. I think his ceiling could be all-star. I think his ceiling could be not best player in the league. No. Can he be LeBron? No. But I do think that he could be Jimmy Butler. I think he could be maybe Kawhi Leonard. I don't think people thought Kawhi Leonard was gonna. Well, no, Kawhi Leonard is probably a stretch. I think Kawhi Leonard was Jimmy Butler. So I think Jimmy Butler. But I would say this: did they think that Joker was gonna be what he was when they drafted him? No, he worked his ass off and became one of the best players in the world. But no, there's no big fuss over this guy.
Because we probably won't still be talking about this guy. This guy's not going to get in the NBA more than like.
He's a first round draft pick. He has a guaranteed contract. He's a first round.
He goes to the G League and we don't hear about him.
This G League is dangerous.
Alright, so let's move.
Yeah, you trying
Because it's like, no, I mean, what you're causing this big fuss over Bronny.
I'm not causing the fuss. I just said literally his last name.
I'm saying it's a fuss.
You guys are causing the fuss because you don't agree with my assessment. You guys think that he should have been. You know what? At that point,
Stop, you didn't argue when that Gronkowski third brother got drafted. The fullback. Yeah.
He got drafted?
Yeah.
No, I didn't get that.
Or Derek Watt.
I mean, Derek Watt is good, though.
But the fullback.
well, so what's the next? We're ready to get to the next.
What's your next? You pick the next topic then, sir.
All right.
We're not talking football yet. We can, and so we can stay. Let's. I got a question, and we don't have to.
I got a question, right? So we're talking. You told me. You told me.
You did some of the
You took forever.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
But we're on this way, right? So we're talking college. We're talking about overseas. What do you think the best path to the NBA is now?
That's a good question. So I'll answer this first. I think that the best path to the NBA is still college. To an extent. I feel like if the NBA wants to have viewership back up on the NBA draft, they need to start getting, finding those college guys, right? Because if you're in the what's it, G League Elite or Ignite or whatever it is, they don't show those games on TV, right? You're gonna watch college basketball all winter. So what they need to do is start, they need to find a way to lock in with the NCAA. If they're gonna continue with this, you have to be 1 year out. They need to lock in with the NCAA because they always butt heads, right? And they need to find a star, determine a star, whatever, however they're gonna do it, and lock in on those guys. And it don't have to be just one person because right now you have pretty much Team France getting drafted. You have the guy from Australia he's an American. Instead of going, he went to Australia, and they need to figure now that NIL is around. I think it should be. You got NIL, you got the transfer portal, so it should be easier for them to go to school and do something because right now I didn't watch a pick, and this might have been the first time that I can remember that I didn't watch a second of the draft. Now, mind you, it could have been because we was playing Madden, but that's besides the point. But there was nothing that said, yo, I want to see this draft. I honestly, if it wasn't for Bronny, most people wouldn't know, and 90% of the people that was in the draft or eligible to get drafted. So I do feel like the best way to answer your question, I think it still has to be college. And it still has to be the Dukes, the UNCs, Michigans, Texas, the UCLA, Ohio State, Boston, all of those teams that Florida, it has to be through those teams.
Yeah, no, I still think the college is going to be the best path, right? Because the NIL, it's going to allow you to stay in college a lot longer than work in the game. We saw it with a lot of the centers. It's no rush for them to come out of school because they're getting that NIL money. I think more teams are going to start to look at foreign players and the G League a lot more, right? So I think you're going to see more of a balance to where maybe 90% of kids used to come out of college to where they start to see 30% running foreign players, maybe 35% from the G League, and then another 30% from college. So it's going to be interesting. I think if you look at this draft, I don't think there was a lot of future all-stars in that draft. I think that there's going to be a few, and it always is some talent that emerge somewhere in the draft that nobody thought about or whatnot. Right. But if you look at it, it's going to be a lot of contributors. So
I think what this draft was, you're gonna have a lot of all NBA defense. Yeah. There were a lot of good defenders. From my research, because I had to research, because I had to talk about it. But there were a lot of good guys that were defenders that could play defense, whether it's on the wing, on the block, whatever. They could play defense because most of the guys in the league now don't play defense. So
three D guys.
Yeah. So I feel like there are guys. And this was one of those off years. I'm gonna call it an off year. You had the old King draft and what's the old boy that went to the Cavs? Anthony Bennett. You have those drafts where because the drafts aren't normally like last year was an exciting draft. You knew Wemby was going to go number one, and it was you still had guys in that draft. You had the Twins in that draft. It was still really good players in that draft, and then you look at that draft class, the rookie class, and Wemby was. I think that Wemby's going to be a megastar eventually in the league. So. I mean, I think this draft this year was like a one-off.
So you can back it, but supposedly they've stopped the overtime elite or whatever. They cut that from the G League because of that. So you'll like this plan. I'm modifying the baseball. The I think the young men should be able to come directly out of high school, or if they go into college, they have to stay 2 years. They're getting NIL money, so it's not about feeding the family at this point.
Right.
But now you have the time to develop them in the program, grow that brand awareness with the players, but they're not hurting for money because they're getting the NIL money. But 3 years, you don't want to waste too much of their prime.
Right.
So you get away from some of that one and done, you get away from much of this transfer portal thing, because literally with one and done, the guys are like, if I don't pop this first year, I gotta go somewhere else. Well, if you get 2 years to pop, you're either gonna be in the NBA or you're gonna be a 4-year guy. So that would be my recommendation. How the NBA can improve name awareness of the players, because you're gonna develop them in college, but you also want to know who these guys are, so people care. I mean, I know y'all talk about a lot of them, but it's the Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese effect. We know these WNBA players when they come in, and if you follow any bit of the women's college game, you know who most of these players are when they get drafted. There's a couple of them we have no idea who they are, but
that's gonna be in
No, but you brought up a good point, right? So you look at this year, viewership went up 50% because of what the women did in the NCAA tournament. Now, so you look at that, you look at like ticket sales for these arenas are up 14%. You start to look at like the expansion where we're going from 12 to 14 teams, and it's all because of the rivalries, getting to know some of the players, and just, I mean, we've talked about it a ton. I know you're about to say it. It's just been more entertaining to watch the women's college game opposed to the fellas.
and I'm not saying that the WNBA is going to take over. Is going to be, but if they're on pace right now because of Caitlin Clark injuries, like you can try and avoid it all you want to. That is Magic and Bird. It is no denying that, because you look at just all-star voting for the WNBA. Last year compared to this year, it's everybody's numbers. You look at the top 10 vote getters last year. No one even had, the top vote getter didn't even have 100,000 votes, at the same time last year. And now the top vote getter, which is Asia, she's at almost 1 million votes. She's like at this point right now, I think she's at like 700 and something thousand as a leading vote getter. And you have Caitlin Clark that's under her, and all of these other women. The game is growing, clearly, right? And they're using the effect of the NCAA tournament, because what Caitlin Clark did in the tournament the last 2 years, you can't do nothing but watch.
And forgive me if I messed her name up. Cardosa. Yeah. Like, I had her. She's a good player, obviously, but she took this tournament and skyrocketed herself up the draft board. I guess one thing is aside from WNBA, I don't understand how that draft works. I don't understand how some of these good teams can go into top 2 or 3. I don't understand that, but
the bad teams still pick early. I think, which is a good thing. The WNBA. I think they forgot we killed the show. Literally. The problem that they had was there wasn't enough teams. So some people don't remember that the WNBA had, I want to say it was like 18 teams or something like that. The teams were moving, they just didn't have the funding. It was bad. So they cut it down to 12 teams now. But there's the game is elevating more now. So there are a lot more better players. I don't even know if that was good grammar, but there's players that are better now. And so now you have first round picks get cut, right? And the main issue is there's but so many roster spots. So now they're adding 2 teams, and I believe they said something about adding another 2 within the next 5-10 years, which ultimately is a good thing. That means the game is growing, and it's like if you look at the NBA, right? At one point, before, like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, 50s, 60s, 70s, right? It was just ragtag. They didn't have. It was on tape delay. It was all of these things that what the WNBA looks like now, right? But well, not now, but like a few years ago, nobody went to no WNBA. I've been to plenty of WNBA games, and it'd be as many people as in here would be in the WNBA. Yes, and it was like, God dang, you know, and they were good players at that time too. But the problem was they were good players. They weren't that many box office type players. Right now, you have a ton of good players. Like you look at the Liberty, and their starting 5 probably all going to the Hall of Fame, right? Like they are a really good team. And they have a really good team, and there's multiple labels on the team, right? So it's 10 years ago with the WNBA, you knew exactly who was going to the finals. You knew exactly who was going to make the All-Star team. You didn't have to worry about somebody getting snubbed because you knew exactly. You had first round, top 3 picks taking over the league. Maya Moore came into the league and was a complete monster, won the championship. Candace Parker, and these are super talented women, right? But they came into the league and took over. It's people are expecting that from Caitlin Clark, and it's not going to happen. One, the team is not as good, even though when Maya Moore came in, Minnesota wasn't good. When Candace Parker came in, Candace Parker was with the Sparks. So they weren't that good when she came, right? They were, but now they expect Caitlin Clark to come in, win the championship. It's not going to happen because there are a lot of good damn women playing the game. So
my thing is, now that it's becoming more profitable, you see a lot of the women not having to like play overseas as much. So I think that's like one of the major problems is that they're only getting paid $50,000, $60,000.
I mean, they get paid more, but
they're getting more endorsements and bigger contracts as the interest grows with the sport. But a lot of them are having to go overseas. Like Brittany Griner, I mean, she was in that situation. Some other reasons, but because that was her main
they were getting paid already. Like they were getting over $1 million contracts, and I feel like they are creating. I think there's a 4-on-4. So they're gonna have another league to keep the women from going overseas. So their seasons in I forget what the season is. It ends during like in October or November or something like that. So, but then they're gonna have like a 4-on-4 or 3-on-3, whatever it is, but it's gonna be women's league. And what's the girl that was in Seattle that's in New York right now? Breanna Stewart. So Breanna Stewart and one of the other players are the ones funding it. And so you know they getting some sort of money to start their own league.
So, all right. I'm gonna give you guys credit. There's no one on the internet or TV that talks WNBA more than you guys, and has been talking a lot, right? So credit to you guys. I think over 100 some episodes ago, you guys were talking WNBA. If you guys were the commissioners of the WNBA and you were looking at expansion sites, would you look at places that are currently NBA towns? Would you look at towns that are more college towns? Or would you look at ones that don't really use the Richmond type market or the Cowboy market for your expansion?
Yeah, so I think it's a combination of both. Like we're like you have to do like the market research. Who's looking for a team, right? I think Seattle. Seattle has cities. I think Toronto and I forget but no, it's Golden State. So So they're the two getting the city, the teams. I think that you have to use a combination of whoever the college teams that are like up there or college towns that you know, like Connecticut, they already have a women's base. Like their women's team has been, yeah. So that was perfect to put a WNBA team. But give me another what's it called? College.
Well, like you said, Bay Area, they're picking up the Stanford crowd.
Yeah, and you still have the Warriors.
The difference now too is women are starting to support women's sports. Right. Look at it like you just started a volleyball league, you just started women's soccer. Yes, the coach one is surely supporting women getting behind their own sports. I think we have to start there because they have to figure out how to do more support for themselves. And then young women, which that market research and trying to figure out because this market wants it, this market right.
Yeah, so I think that to like this whole pushing out, I feel like they'll eventually get to 18 teams, right? But I would say don't expand too quickly, right? Because don't expand more than the stars, if that makes sense, right? I mean, you should get to a point where you have at the least 2 stars per team. At the absolute minimum, you have 2 stars per team, and then you go from there, right? And I feel like if you do that, you can gradually grow because the game is growing. It's naturally growing, and that's the good thing.
So I'll give you say yes and no. No world.
Yes.
I think that would be the city.
That would be. Yeah. I think New Orleans and I think Miami. I think if so, the only problem with Miami is don't expect the crowd in the first quarter, right? Like if you're on TV, just show the court until halftime.
What about the North Carolina area?
I mean, it's possible. It's possible. You just have to wait and see. So we're gonna take like 10 minutes. They're gonna come back
Anthony Adebayo. We off the record.
With you there, but if you're a coach, do you take that chance?
Yes. You can reach us at the Off the Record Show at gmail.com. Anthony Adebayo. And the most accurate sports coverage. Scotty B's Fantasy 5.
We're different from any other sports.
His sophomore year. Comes back and says, you know what?
And your boy, Scotty B. All right, so welcome back. I ain't say that in a long time, yo. Hey, welcome back. All right, so recently I put out a post, a reel of the top players for each NFL team of all time, right? So that was interesting. I think it might go for this one. So let me tell you, I had some, and I'm gonna tell you right now, these guys are not gonna agree with me with everything that I say, and that's okay. That's why we're here. So there were certain teams that I really had a really tough time deciding who I felt was the best player of that team, right? One of the people were, I'm sorry, not one of the people, but one of the teams were the Falcons, the Steelers. I had a tough time with the Eagles, but what I chose for so the Steelers
historic franchise. I went with Jerome Bettis. And let's start. Yeah. All right, listen. Hold on one second. Hold on one second, buddy. I think that all three of y'all, I don't care. Y'all can take the air out your chest. All right. That was the first team. Okay. So Scott, I said the best player of all time was Jerome Bettis. I have some things that can back me up with that. So what are your thoughts?
So when I think Stiller, I don't necessarily think Jerome Bettis. So when I started thinking of the best player on that particular NFL team, I thought about like players that you say that person's name, you automatically think of that team. When I think Stiller, I think Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris, Lynn Swann. I think about those teams. I don't necessarily think about Jerome Bettis. So if I had to go with the top player, I know a lot of people would disagree with this. I got to go with Terry Bradshaw because he had 4 Super Bowls. He was the quarterback.
It's a team sport. I feel you. Super Bowls, that's the ultimate goal, right? Super Bowls are the ultimate goal. But in this situation of picking the best player from that organization of all time, let's be honest. Do you think that they could have won those Super Bowls without Terry Bradshaw?
No.
Did you see the defense that they had?
He
threw the ball 10 times a game. He had a running back called Franco Harris.
So before Bradshaw was playing, and I'll have to look it up, there was a guy that was playing. Al Davis told, what's his name? It might have been Rooney. Or it might have been Chuck Noll, that, hey, why don't you play Bradshaw? You will win more. He inserts Bradshaw. The rest is history. They got 4 Super Bowls. Now, I will say this about Bradshaw. He was an ugly winner. So the games didn't always necessarily look pretty. But when I think of like the Steelers organization, there's no way in the world somebody from those 70s, that 70s era, shouldn't be the best player in that organization.
I would take Ben Roethlisberger over Terry Bradshaw. Ben Roethlisberger is a way better quarterback than Terry Bradshaw. Ben Roethlisberger did the same things that Terry. He won 2 Super Bowls, right? And again, when the Steelers won those 4, because you put, I don't. Me personally, I think we'll talk about this later. I think we place way too much value on legacies and things like that on championships. I think when we're talking legacies and talking the best this, the best that, we place way too much value on. Does championships play a part? Absolutely. But is it the end all be all? I don't think so.
It's not the end all be all, but I look at it as a weighted average, right? So yeah, it's not the only criteria, but I think that is more than likely the most important criteria. So if you look at best player, if you look at best player of an organization, you start to look at, okay, is this player a Hall of Famer, right? Then you start to look at, okay, is this person in this group's Ring of Honor? Then you start to look at how many Super Bowl rings did they have? What contributions? Like it all ties together, right? So I think if you look at Big Ben, yeah, skill-wise, you could say, yeah, he's more than likely was a better quarterback, right? And I think I can agree with you there. But then if you look at the totality and the total picture, what person in the Steelers organization has more recognition than Terry Bradshaw? Maybe Franco Harris.
Okay.
Yeah, so you kind of go.
And when I was going through my picks, I was torn. It was a lot. I even thought about Troy Polamalu. I thought about Ben Roethlisberger, and I also Franco Harris is who it was between Franco Harris. At the end of the day, it was between Franco Harris and Jerome Bettis, and I went with Jerome Bettis.
What about Mean Joe Green?
That's who I had.
I mean,
That's who I had.
that dude was a a dominating force on that steel curtain defense.
I mean,
Sticking with
look, full disclosure, I hate the Steelers. When you think of the Steelers, you think of defense, right? So there's a couple other guys you could say,
Jack
Rob
Lambert.
Woodson, Mel Blount, a couple of those guys. They're a tough team because they got a lot of great players. As an unbiased fan of football, they have a lot of great players. But Mean Joe Green would be my guy.
That's a good one. I would
agree with that.
I would take Mean Joe Green over Terry Bradshaw. There's no way Terry Bradshaw. You're gonna tell me he's just the most visible right now because he's on Fox. But he wasn't even the best player on offense. He wasn't top. He might not have been top 5. So okay. So another team. God, all right, the Falcons. So I chose Matt Ryan. I feel like the best player in the Falcons history. All right, the best player. Don't stop recording, okay? and listen again. I understand that Michael Vick was an experience in Atlanta, right? I understand that. I understand that Deion Sanders was an experience in Atlanta. I understand those things. But when we're talking about on the field, the best player in the history of the Atlanta Falcons is Matt Ryan. And I'll tell you why. He's the all-time leading passer, and he has the all-time leading passer yards. He's the all-time leading in touchdowns. He's gone to a Super Bowl. All them other dudes ain't going to no Super Bowl. Michael Vick ain't get close to a Super Bowl. Well, he got to the NFC Championship, didn't he? He got to the NFC Championship. But Michael Vick doesn't even have 10,000 yards in his career in Atlanta.
We're not going to get why.
Why? Because he got 5,000 yards rushing?
No.
Okay. All right. No. Okay. I agree there. And listen, I agree. Was he singled out? Absolutely. But again, I understand that Michael Vick is a lot of people's first choice. Again, my reasoning for Matt Ryan again is because he produced a lot on that field. Some people said, what about Julio Jones? And I said, no, he needed Matt Ryan.
What about Jamal Anderson?
No.
So what about Roddy White?
Absolutely not. I would take Julio Jones over Roddy White.
What about Warrick Dunn? And I'm not saying that they're
those are good players.
So I'm saying, look, when I think of Matt Ryan, so hold on, I'm going somewhere with this, right? When I think Matt Ryan, I think Roddy White. I think Warrick Dunn. Like, that's the type of caliber that I put Matt Ryan in. And I get it, right? So that's I guess the hard part with this argument is you're right. He is the passing leader. He's had the most on the field success. And unfortunately, Michael Vick, Deion Sanders, and some of those guys didn't have the same success. But I still got to go Deion.
So I've thought about this, right? And I thought about Warrick Dunn. But
thought about Warrick Dunn?
I thought about it, right? So I have to separate one of the most important pieces in the actual best, right? Your question was who's the best player to suit up for that team. And it probably is Matt Ryan, which means
I just don't want to go with the white.
Well, no, I'm going to say this. If it is indeed Matt Ryan, and I know you'll reveal the rest of your list, they probably have the worst best player of a franchise.
Oh, my God.
But see, this is why I go Deion Sanders. He said the best player. And he didn't define that as it has to be statistically or it has to be talent-wise, right? So when I look at the best player that ever put on a uniform for the Falcons, it's got to be Deion Sanders. He's arguably the best cornerback of all time.
All right, when did he become the greatest? Was it Only the Atlanta years, or are you adding?
Listen,
No,
no.
I'm saying in,
Deion-
in totality, and some argue that he should be on Dallas's greatest of all time, right?
Absolutely not. Are you crazy? Hold on. You would not disrespect the Cowboys by saying that. You put them on the 49ers all time. But
Absolutely
listen,
not.
listen. You know when Deion became the best cornerback ever was those 2 consecutive years when he played in San Francisco, and then he went to play in Dallas and won the Super Bowl back to back. That's when he got the stamp. He's the best, right?
So let me ask you this. Hold on before you go, because you're getting a little worked up, right? So you got Emmitt Smith, greatest running back of all time, statistically, right?
Yep.
So I'll give you that. Deion Sanders, where is he as far as cornerbacks? Is he the best? Is he the second best? Is he the fifth best? Where is he?
Yeah. So I mean, I hear what you're saying. If
Statistically versus feelings is a big difference.
yeah, so listen,
even
you're not. It's gonna be hard for me to say that Deion Sanders is not the best cornerback to ever play the game, right? I can't really say that he isn't, right? But it's close. There's a lot of damn good cornerbacks. You got Champ Bailey, Rob Woodson, you got Mel Blount, you got Trayvon Diggs. I'm kidding. I'm joking, guys. I'm just joking. But who knows? Huh? But here's the thing: if we don't know what Trayvon Diggs only been in the year for you see. But we don't know. But as far as Deion, his Atlanta years, he was probably one of the most popular players in the NFL, right? And he was good. He was good. Don't get me wrong. But if you look at Champ Bailey's career and you look at Deion's career, I mean, the only difference between them is that Champ Bailey didn't play baseball, and Champ Bailey, but Champ Bailey in Washington and Denver was arguably the best cornerback in the league when he was playing.
So I'm pretty sure. I don't know the statistics of this, but I'm pretty sure most people recognize Deion Sanders as the best cornerback, right? Just considering what he was able to do as far as shutting down people, what he's able to do with punt and kickoff returns. So it is hard for me to say that, okay, he played for Atlanta, and we got Matt Ryan versus the great, who may not, by the way, be a Hall of Famer.
He's definitely going to be a Hall of Famer.
I don't know about that. I don't know if he's going to be a Hall of Famer. I don't think he's a Hall of Famer.
Like, you don't like Matt Ryan for whatever reason. You feel like how you feel about him. If you look at his numbers, he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
All right, stop. If
So
your coach hadn't called a bad game as an OC down at
He will be a Super Bowl champ.
He would be a Super Bowl champ and an MVP.
So hold on. I'm not going to let you guys do this. I'm not going to let you guys do this. Matt Ryan is not a Hall of Famer. And I want to tell you why he's not a Hall of Famer. You have to take into account the era that he played in, right? So, yeah, he had good numbers, but he also played in the era with Drew Brees. He played in the era with Peyton Manning. He played in the era with Big Ben. He played in the era with Tony Romo. He played in the era of Eli Manning. He played in the era, I don't even know if I said Phillip Rivers. It's a lot of good quarterbacks that played in that era that he's going to be judged against, right? Because they're going to look at Aaron Rodgers. It's a lot of good quarterbacks in that era. And then he starts to teeter into when Lamar hangs it up a little bit, when Mahomes hangs it up, Russell Wilson. It's a lot of quarterbacks in that era that put up good numbers. And when you judge him based off of there, is he average? Is he above average? That's debatable. But was he the top tier of that group? Absolutely not.
I'm sick of this shit.
So I'll say this.
Go ahead.
All right. And I'm not trying to defend Matt Ryan, right? But Matt Ryan, in my opinion, was probably better than Phillip Rivers. And if we got to debate that, then Phillip Rivers shouldn't be used as a measure. He was definitely a better quarterback than Eli Manning.
Matt Ryan was
You-
the quarterback for Eli Manning?
Again, I was doing this.
Scott, you gonna make this man go crazy. No.
You telling me that Eli Manning was better than Matt Ryan?
So
That was not.
is it because of the Super Bowl? I was about to ask him, but it's because of the Super Bowl.
He had to, listen, Eli Manning, I don't need no damn microphone. Eli Manning done led the league in interceptions multiple times. Hold on, I'm not done. Matt Ryan never led the league in interceptions. Okay, Matt Ryan has also taken his team, even though they didn't win the Super Bowl, he's taken his team to the playoffs a lot more than Eli Manning. You know when the only time Eli Manning won a playoff game? The 2 years that he won the Super Bowl.
So look, if I have to choose, and I'm starting a franchise, as Matt Ryan, as Eli Manning, I'm taking Eli Manning. You can take Matt Ryan. And you know what?
Stop. Listen. You know what? No, Phil. No, listen. No. Listen. That does explain a lot. Listen to this. I'm gonna give you the top 10 all-time passing leaders in the history of the NFL. Okay? Number 10, Eli Manning. Pretty good. Number 9, Aaron Rodgers. Number 8, Dan Marino. Number 7, Matt Ryan. Number 6, Phillip Rivers. Then Ben Roethlisberger. Then Brett Favre. Then Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and Tom Brady. You got the nerve to tell me that Matt Ryan is not going to the Hall of Fame and he has over 60,000 yards passing? How?
So let's ask this, right? How long has he played?
What? He played.
I mean, you have to take that into consideration.
Okay, listen. No, yes, he's 08 to 22. Eli Manning was 04 to 19.
Yeah, so he played 14 years.
And Eli Manning played 15.
Okay,
and he still got more yards than him.
I still look.
Well, just to be fair, Eli didn't start most of his rookie year, right?
So
then he never missed a game after.
So let me ask you this: is Matt Ryan a first ballot Hall of Famer?
First, it don't matter.
No.
Eli Manning's not a first ballot Hall of Famer.
No, it does matter, right?
Why does it matter?
Because if Matt Ryan goes into a Hall of Fame when we're 70.
No. So this hold on, and you'll like this question. This hey Scott, this question is just for you. Is Eli Manning a Hall of Famer if his last name wasn't Manning?
No.
And he won't be a first ballot Hall of Famer either. He's mediocre at best.
But this ain't about Eli Manning. You guys brought Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan
said that Matt Ryan was the best Falcon.
Yes, and he has 52,792 yards. I'll enlarge it for you so you can see it right there.
So I'll tell you what, I'll make a deal with you, right? When Matt Ryan goes,
yoke him up.
Yeah, when Matt Ryan goes into the Hall of Fame, not only will I yoke him up, we're going to that trip, right? I'll be right there when during his acceptance speech.
Hey Scott, you're gonna be there in about 7 years then. Because he may not be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Okay, so
but he'll be a second or a third. He has 60,000 yards passing, dog.
Okay.
He has 60. It's only 5 other players in NFL history that have more yards than him.
So you're gonna build it based on your 50th birthday. Is he a Hall of Famer by your 50th birthday?
I think honestly.
No, he just said Hall of Fame.
No, I think honestly he might get in when I'm 70, and when this video is nowhere because nobody uses streaming services anymore, and it's something different, and nobody have the proof that this conversation even occurred. That's when Matt Ryan will go into the Hall of Fame, right? when we're too old to even remember this conversation even happened.
I surely hope Matt Ryan doesn't get this on Twitter.
Let me look at the top.
No, I mean, look, he was a good quarterback. I don't know. Maybe he'll. Yes.
Would you put Matt Ryan in over Joe Flacco?
Yes, absolutely. And what are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? Wait. All right, now he's just trying to troll me. There's no way that you think that. What's his name again? You think that Joe Flacco is better than Matt Ryan?
I didn't say that. I just thought about
What the hell are you thinking about? What are you thinking about? What? Scott, he's joking, y'all. He doesn't really
it.
mean
Nah.
that. He knows that Matt Ryan is a better quarterback than Joe Flacco. We're not gonna. All right, so one of the other, because I'm gonna just move on. So
Yeah.
one of the other teams that I felt deserved the discussion was the Eagles, right? So on my list, I have Reggie White, and that was tough because Reggie White was an Eagle. He also was a Packer, and it was tough because when you look at when I think most people that follow the game and know Reggie White know that he was very sought after when he was on the Eagles and he became a free agent. Honestly, I really couldn't think of anybody from the Eagles that was better than Reggie White. I think that Donovan McNabb was close. I think Donovan McNabb was a damn good quarterback for the Eagles.
I gave Brian Dawkins consideration.
I gave Brian Dawkins consideration.
So the thing
too.
I had with Reggie White was I had him with the Packers.
You chose Reggie White with the Packers? All right, hold on. We might have to switch. Hold on 1 second. You chose Reggie White with the Packers over Aaron Rodgers and Brett Favre?
So I had Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, and Reggie White. That was one of the teams I could not decide who was there.
So is that not the Dion argument again? Like Reggie White, we talked about this.
Yeah.
Is Reggie White a Packer or is he an Eagle?
I don't know. Like I said, I think he might be an Eagle, but for whatever reason, I had him with the Packers. I had him with the Packers.
So it was one of those where you, like if you're choosing a a best all-time list and you have Reggie White has to be on that list, right? I think he's one of the most dominant players ever. And it's like, well, if you don't have him on the Eagles, then you choose him with the Packers. But then you go a team like an organization like the Packers, you have those two quarterbacks. Shoot, you can even say those three quarterbacks if you add Bart Starr, and some other players. But with the Packers, it's going to be one of the quarterbacks. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to pick Reggie White over Aaron Rodgers, Brett Favre, or even Bart Starr.
So I want to tell you another name that this is a cheat code, and you'll find with many of the players it is a cheat code. Chris Carter as an Eagle. You can't do that. You have to put him on Minnesota, but he's not Minnesota's best. But if you start to have the argument, he played with the Eagles.
I don't know that he's top 5 in Minnesota.
No, he's not.
All right, so the
Exciting player, I think.
So Cunningham gets the Vic treatment.
Yeah.
I know people don't want to hear it. I know they don't want to hear it. But Cunningham was exciting. He was revolutionary to an extent, but he wasn't the best player in Eagles history. I don't think so. And I don't think Vic was the best in Falcons history. Y'all can get mad at me. I don't care. It doesn't matter. But Swan over there cursing me out silently, but it's whatever.
All right, but to Tiffany's point, what's next for Off the Record?
We ain't even finished this conversation yet.
No, but we don't have much time.
That's a good question. What is next week?
That was a hard right turn, but to answer that question,
Well, shoot, we only got 10 minutes.
okay,
Yeah.
all right, we've been doing this a lot longer. We could have transitioned a little better, you know. No, it is what it is. It is what it is. It don't matter. All right, so no, but all jokes aside, what's next is the elevation, right? We plan on continue to do the show, have exclusive interviews. But we do want to take that next step. Whatever that next step, you don't want to limit your next step, right? Because we could say, yeah, we want to get on satellite radio, we want to get on whatever, but our next step may be exclusively working with a team, or our next step may be, owning our own station. So again, I guess that's kind of like the easy way out. Is we want to elevate and take that next step, but that is actually what we want to do. What that next step is, I can't tell you because
we do so many things, and we plan on doing so many things in regards to working with other shows, in regards to more social media presence, things of that nature. So when you ask what is next, elevation is my thought, is going to be my answer. Any other? Oh, you know what? Any other questions? You got questions, sir? You gotta have a question. Any of y'all got a? Take the mic. I think she has a question. Oh, Tuan got a question. Yes, sir.
How you doing? My name's Swan, the cameraman. I'm trying to figure out why the hell this man picked Matt Ryan over Mike Vick. Huh?
Okay.
Mike Vick put Atlanta on the map. Mike Vick is the pioneer of Atlanta Falcon football. He's a pioneer.
Okay. I agree.
Tell me he didn't bring him back to existence.
Huh?
Tell me Mike Vick didn't bring Atlanta back.
No, so he did. He did. Michael. So again, taking everything into account, Michael Vick did. When Michael Vick was drafted by Atlanta was in the dumps, right? But with the same token, when Matt Ryan was drafted, Atlanta was in the dumps because of what happened with Michael Vick, right? And I understand that, and I side with Michael Vick, right? I feel like that was the only time I ever rooted for the Eagles. I've never rooted for the Eagles a day in my life.
Until they signed Mike Vick.
When they signed Michael Vick, I was like, damn. It was almost like a family member got picked up because one, I felt bad for what they did to him, right? That he was definitely singled out. He should have had probation, and he should have had community service. He should have had all these things. He definitely shouldn't have been locked up for what happened. But I get it, and he learned from it. But at the end of the day, what happened to him still tore the team up. I won't say the city. The city is Atlanta is Atlanta. But when Matt Ryan was drafted, that gave them new life, right? And I want to say that was like the following, like 2 years later, something like that. So when he was drafted, he kind of picked up the pieces, right? And from he hit the ground running. So I feel like that's partly why I chose Matt Ryan, and he got them to a Super Bowl. He beat Aaron Rodgers. He should have beat Tom Brady, but their OC he has a history. Their OC at that time has a history, and he ain't got over that hump yet.
He hasn't. He been there. He 0-3, right?
Yeah. So any other questions? You got a question? Oh man,
sir.
So who won the trade between the Falcons and the Chargers when y'all took Michael Vick?
Who won the trade between the Falcons and the Chargers?
With Damian Thomason. So
that's
it was Thomason and Breeze, right?
No, Breeze.
Breeze came from somewhere else.
It was the second pick.
No, it was just Thomason, and we gotta look it up. But
who won the trade?
I don't think you could really. I mean,
I
LT
think they both won because LT was LT's a top 10 back.
Yeah, and I got LT as one of the Chargers. Yeah.
I got the best. LT, I got you. LT's the best Charger. Yeah.
Chargers won.
Yeah.
Listen. But with that said, so yes, I chose that as yes that LT. I mean not LT, but Michael Vick. Even though he's not one of I don't have him as a top Falcon. He's up there. He might be 2 or 3. I think for me, Matt Ryan, Michael Vick, and Deion Sanders are all there, and you could choose any of them because I think all 3 of them had some sort of different impact with the Atlanta Falcons. So I know a lot of people in Atlanta may not agree with me, but I'm here for the smoke. So yeah. Any other questions? Yeah, nobody got another question? Cool. So, all right, man. So we just about done.
before we go, I got to do this. So, the day before we sat here and did this recording, it was Scott's birthday, and so what happened was we were, we have a bunch of group chats, right? Because we do the battlegrounds and we play Madden, like we're literally in the full-fledged Madden league, like So he thought he was gonna escape, and he's lucky, some people had stepped away, but with everybody here, we will sing happy birthday to Scott because he hadn't got sung happy birthday to, right? Am I lying?
Nah.
Yeah. So we will sing happy birthday on this 300th episode to our good buddy Scott, So can you pass that to Phil? So on the count of three, and our most offbeat sound, offbeat singing as you can. Now, I ain't gonna lie, there's a bunch of black folks in here, so we may be on beat trying to be offbeat. What? Yeah, we just gonna sing happy birthday, dog. you gonna get the commercial version because you. It ain't even about that. It's because this man over here is, you know what? Anyway, 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to cha. Happy birthday to cha. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, Scott. Cha. Nah, but definitely. So happy birthday, Scott. This was fun. We may have to come back to the barbershop a little bit more. This is actually pretty cool. Shout out to Twan, shout out to Supreme for letting us use this beautiful establishment. Because I tell you what, y'all see these lights. I've got my haircut before. I don't even think I even noticed these lights up here. Oh, I was say like I've been here a long time. I don't never remember these lights, but definitely it was dope. You got anything?
No, I'm good, man. Thank you for all the support, everybody. 300 more.
300 more. God, I got to do it. Oh, I got one story before we go. One last story. This is how I know that we are like super cool, right? Scott and I. There was one time, we were in the studio, right? And listen, and I think everybody knows Scott and I have really good chemistry, right? So it was one day, I may have been having a bad day, or he may have been having a bad day. And I think we were on air and we didn't agree on something. Like per usual, right? And I think we both took it wrong. We went to commercial. So at that time, we would play like music, would be our commercial break. And it was about, the song was probably like 3.5 minutes. Normally, I'll probably cut the last verse. It was a good 3.5 minutes. And y'all know Scott don't really yell like that. We were in a full-fledged argument, like yelling at each other, pointing in each other's face, like full-fledged argument. The people that was in the other studio came, they was looking like, yo, what? Right? And then the music cuts off. Welcome back. It was like nothing ever happened. We was like, and so and while it happened, like you like get into it, you like, what just happened here? Like, and we no one would have even thought that we had just got to an argument, right? But we were like, nah, neither one of us are bigger than the show. And it was funny because I was just like, damn, because we literally went to Stan's after and got wings. We was like, man, we were stupid as shit, man. We was tripping, yo, right? So that leads to like, there was a show that came on after. What was the name of that show? With the guys, right?
You talking about the ones where
yeah. So that show that came on after, we were always like, they were, good dudes, and we would pray. Like, so when we're coming up, so in between the two shows, they would say we just all pray together, right?
You remember that?
So-
Tiff, don't
So
No,
I think
no,
Tiff
she
might
did.
have been there.
Tiff
So
did.
they was they came in while we were recording. They're arguing, like bad arguing. Like I f you up, I'll burn your house.
He's a church guy,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And so we're recording. So we think that they're joking. We're like, oh, but we found out during the prayer, like they prayed, but it was like the most tense prayer that I've ever seen in my life. I said, Scott, we gotta get up out of here, but we didn't want to leave. So
Fam slid his a watch into his pocket.
Yep.
Start losing.
He's
going
loosening
on
up his-
during the prayer.
During the prayer, he's loosening up his tie. He's like, I'm about to F this dude up. During the prayer, I was like, I said, I don't know what's happening right now. That was their last show together. That was their last show together. No, because the one dude just didn't come back, and I was like, man, but we ain't never get that far. That joint was bad. Like they were praying. So, but nonetheless, this is Off the Record. I'm Anthony Adebayo.
Where's Scotty B?
We out of here. All right, it's a wrap. Oh, man.